If you do this, the focus of hatred may shift to those responsible for unleashing biological warfare, leaving corporations free to experiment with human evolution. Are you sure this is your choice?
So because pro-human terrorists create a computer virus that hurt augmented people, every country is going to allow their private corporations full freedom to do whatever they want in the study of cybernetics. While this has all sorts of implications, and we can speculate what those are, the main question is, how is this any different from what the entire game was showing us? Notice how this is yet another may. What she's saying may happen. While it's feasible that a computer virus can spread instantly around the world and impact only a certain number of augments, and people can buy that, Eliza is calling this biological warfare. What's biological about a computer virus? Just because it impacts human behavior? Well, I guess that's it then. Additionally, this is just shifting hatred, so one scary event is blamed on one group. But how is that going to influence countries, or the UN, to grant laws or freedoms for technological advancement? All because of a terrorist action. Do they want human experiments to occur? Why? But if augments were the vessels of said terrorist action, wouldn't the people be more scared of augments, and now that they know they can instantly turn into murdering Neanderthals? Wouldn't these cybernetic corporations be super careful never to allow this to happen again by self-regulating, by being even more transparent? Even to the point of constantly reassuring the public because the average person, augmented or otherwise, simply would not trust these corporations like Taeyong Medical and Seraph Industries. People don't care who's to blame, the damage has been done. So think about this. If you and your friend buy the same car with the new engine that all the new cars are using, and it has a hidden defect that will kill you and others, and a world event held by terrorists hacks every car with this new engine, simultaneously causing pain and death, including the death of your friend, do you care only that it was because of terrorists hacking into its computer system? And if you have that car, you're probably going to get rid of it. This vehicle killed your buddy, and you own one just like it. You don't care about the technicalities or getting a recall or whatever. You are officially riding in a moving bomb. The company of the car would need to go into the most amazing damage control, like public statements, liquidate their technology, re-patent or re-engineer that deadly engine, try to sell itself, sack top management, rebrand itself, and all sorts of other things that companies do when they can't compete or even survive. This wouldn't be a recall on brakes or airbags or what happened to the Ford Pinto. This is turning everyone's vehicle into a bomb. Additionally, you're going to call up your political reps and ban those special engines, potentially even the companies that use them, and any technology associated. Now, I'm just speculating here, but outraged citizens who bought something that was part of World War III would be a little incensed. At least that's what I think would probably happen. Anyway, back to the world of human revolution. Wasn't this broadcast supposed to be just for Seraph and the others to buy time to figure out what to do next? This was not for allowing corporations freedom to experiment with human evolution further. So how is this a logical outcome of your choice? Couldn't Eliza have just said what Seraph wanted? Do you see how disconnected the explanation of this choice is and the jump in logic Adam's monologue takes? If this choice is so profound and far-reaching, then the story needs to tell or show us that this was a big deal and how the world reacted to it. And then Adam can wax poetic about it. Without explanation or closure, this ending, like all the others except maybe the last one, is a non-ending. It's really nonsense. And no amount of stock footage, choir music in the background, or Tefexis rambling on about morals is going to change any of this. And unfortunately, this is one of the more simpler, more coherent endings.
So be it then.
Seraph was right about one thing. It's in our nature to want to rise above our limits.
Hey Adam, that's just great. Whole lot of confidence in Seraph there, I see. This is the pro-augment ending, right?
Think about it. We were cold, so we harnessed fire. We were weak, so we invented tools. Every time we met an obstacle, we used creativity and ingenuity to overcome it. The cycle is inevitable. But will the outcome always be good?
Okay, so if we overcome obstacles and such cycles are inevitable, then yes, the outcome will always be good, if that's the definition of good. If problems are getting solved, then there is literally no more problem. Okay, no more problems are good things. If problems are bad, then their absence is either good or neutral. In other news, merry-go-rounds produce centrifugal force, sunlight is warm, and this is a load of superficial nonsense. What is good, O philosopher Jensen? I'm assuming this image is the Challenger explosion, again showing that, or an oil spill, does not equate to what Adam is talking about. Yes, accidents happen. Of course there are no images or stock footage that can show us an outcome which is bad, because by definition of a problem-solving cycle, it's inevitable that problems will get solved. And that is always a good or neutral thing. Even with the Challenger explosion, maybe they fixed a process, a mistake was found, an efficiency, a tool, a component redesigned, whatever. Remember, this isn't a moral question, a technical one, a question of effectiveness, a goal-oriented one like going into space, or even efficiency. Adam's definition was very general. If the problems are inevitably getting solved, the process is ipso facto QED good or neutral. It doesn't matter what it costs, it doesn't matter who dies or how many times you try or how many times you fail. It will be solved, and that's always good or neutral. Now, if the outcome is bad, and that's your perspective on things like, I don't know, going to space is bad because you don't like it for some reason, or you're measuring it on failed attempts, lives and money that are lost, shipping oil across the ocean is bad because spills happen, then right, okay, I see what you're talking about. But Adam's not saying this, and the imagery isn't helping that either. Mistakes cause failures. So what?
I guess that will depend on how we approach it.
Approach what exactly? The problem solving? The cycle of problem solving? The idea of whatever solving a problem is moral, or worth the moral cost, and thus good or bad? What specifically are you approaching here, Adam? A theory of ethics? Can I have some context, please?
These past few months, I was challenged many times. But more often than not, didn't I try to keep morality in mind, knowing that my actions didn't have to harm others?
Since this is the non-lethal or good-ending monologue, this could be a simple tie-in to what he was saying before, that Adam is trying to solve problems by getting from A to B, and how he, or rather the player, has done it gives him some moral standing to say what he did was good, because no one died. Then yes, within the context of his quest, not killing people is a good thing. And if that's the definition to him, again, killing people to get to the end could equally be good. We don't know what the context is. Is it problem solving, or is it not killing people? Which one?
Time and time again, didn't I resist the urge to abuse power and resources simply to achieve my goals more swiftly? In the past, we've had to compensate for weaknesses, finding quick solutions that only benefit a few.
I'm assuming the foreclosure sign was the example of the 2007 housing bubble market crash, and then we have good old artificial insemination image going. But I'm quite sure both the banker who gave the loan and the person taking out the loan for their house were both benefiting, as all freely acted upon transactions would be beneficial to both parties, or else they wouldn't be talking to each other. And I highly doubt that various forms of government, or government intervention, and monetary expansion are forms of greed. That's just a form of policy. Unless the image is telling us that capitalism and greed is bad somehow, then okay. If you want to say that, great. But that's not exactly what happened in 2007. You know, from politics to environmentalism and now to economics, Deus ex human revolution doesn't really know what it's talking about, or at least very clearly. And they're reaching very hard in a very artsy-fartsy way to try to find some smattering of meaning somewhere, which ends up making this whole collage a pile of random fluff, and they ultimately just get stuff wrong.
But what if we never need to feel weak or morally conflicted again?
Why would we be feeling morally conflicted in the first place? What is the moral conflict? Can you tie it into one of the themes of the story, maybe? We're obviously not talking about Adam's morals of being non-lethal or expedient here, so what's the moral issue?
What if the path Sarif wants us to take enables us to hold on to higher values with more stability?
Such as?
One thing is obvious. For the first time in history, we have a chance to steal fire from the gods.
As opposed to the various other discoveries and inventions throughout the ages, like fire, microchips, how is augmentation any different? Now, Adam is essentially an example of Prometheus in this story, so I'm sure the symbolism isn't lost on himself, so he can make that reference. Whether he actually likes being Prometheus or accepts being the person providing the breakthrough research for non-neuroposine augments and whether he's forgiven Megan for telling him, that all remains to be seen. Now, that would have been a great time for him to say something about it if he's going this route. Unless, of course, Adam is just being poetic, then sure, interpretation just goes.
To turn away from it now, to stop pursuing a future in which technology and biology combine, leading to the promise of a singularity, would mean to deny the very essence of who we are.
Okay, one, how would turning away from cybernetics deny the very essence of who we are? Two, why are we turning away from cybernetics in the first place? I thought we were all trying to buy time and lie to everyone so we can keep it going. Or is Adam just justifying it to himself? Or is he justifying it to us? Three, how does cybernetics lead to the promise of the singularity? And four, what kind of singularity? How do you know it won't be a purely machine one or AI type of singularity? In fact, is this the first time singularity has ever been mentioned in the narrative? So apparently the very essence of who we are is to combine biology with tech that promises a singularity. Well, thanks for the meaning of life, Adam. Yeah, being profound is okay, but too profound and you become pretentious, which is unfortunately how that statement came across.
No doubt the road to get there will be bumpy, hurting some people along the way.
Wait, but in the good playthrough, didn't you say that we didn't have to harm others by the player's own example? That being moral was more important than being expedient? That Seraph was actually going to enable us to hold on to higher values with more stability? And if that's the case, then why are some people going to be hurt along the way? Or are you and Seraph an exception to that rule? And here's a reverse shot of the stock footage eclipse from the previous ending.
But won't achieving the dream be worth it?
Now this might seem obvious, but I gotta ask, what dream? And what is worth it? We need examples. The promise of a singularity dream? And since by Adam's own logic overcoming problems is cyclical and inevitable, we no longer have to fear being in a moral quagmire. Though, Seraph, we have higher values and more stability, and since the outcome of overcoming problems will always happen and always be good, or at least neutral, then yeah, technically, it will be worth it, no matter what dream we're talking about.
We can become the gods we've always been striving to be. We might as well get good at it.
Since when were we striving to be gods? Artificial limbs and mental upgrades make us gods? We then see a whole bunch of ovums being fertilized and dividing rapidly in a very black open space, and then a quick zoom out to a cyber baby. This shot works rather well as it represents and resounds the theme of human augmentation, similar to how Seraph talked about the next stage of human evolution. It's a powerful image, but way out of the scope of the story, and is purely for dramatic effect. Of course, I wasn't expecting any plot resolution or new reveals, but hey, you gotta take what you're given. This ending, though largely nonsensical compared to the others, makes a little more sense, and does have that final powerful image of a pro-augment future, though Adam does get a little bit more poetic and profound to the point of pretentiousness. Without analysis and on face value, it's somewhat harmless and kind of positive. Congratulations, technology is always good.